Welcome to the fifth video in the Business Acumen Toolkit series, Leadership and Organizational Change, the final video in this initial production. In this video, we step back and look at all the components and their interrelationships, as well as provide guidance to leaders who must support an organization through a difficult change. Just a reminder, these videos were not created to be passively watched and listened to. Use the video as a discussion guide for your team. The Business Acumen Toolkit series is brought to you by the Alaska Association on Developmental Disabilities with funding from the Alaska Mental Health Trust Authority. Your presenters are myself, Kim Champney,
and Brandon Cullum.
Brandon is the business brain of our team, while I share my experience with strategic thinking and organizational development. You'll hear our different perspectives throughout the toolkit.
In this module, we introduce leadership considerations that come into play when a significant change is needed to improve financial performance in your organization. We also review short-term and long-term planning steps and strategies to consider when developing plans to increase sustainability.
The modules in this toolkit fit together to provide a framework for good fiscal leadership. We started out talking about planning, beginning with a solid strategic plan that includes first, a long-term perspective, second, measurable outcomes, and third, organizational priorities. The resource plan, also known as the budget, should align with the organization's strategic plan. Business intelligence is the process of monitoring the resource plan, providing information on how operations are aligning with goals. Then gap analysis takes the information collected using business intelligence to analyze performance issues and provide information useful to addressing performance concerns. Leaders use the information from the gap analysis to identify areas for change. There's always room for improvement, although effective leadership is most challenging when the analysis reveals the need for significant change. This module touches on some important considerations.
A successful organization operates in a way that allows it to meet both the mission and the organization's financial obligations. Financial obligations include being able to operate day-to-day in a manner that leads to the delivery of a quality product. In the DD world, this quality product would be excellent customer service and person-centered support. An important aspect of financial obligations is providing administrative support as well as physical infrastructure and equipment to facilitate effective operations. Obligations are not fixed. An organization has control over its obligations and may need to occasionally redefine them if it isn't meeting both its mission and its current financial obligations. Thomas McLaughlin, in the book Financial Basics for Nonprofit Managers, states, "The operating margin should be exactly where the organization wants it to be. Either it willingly relies on fundraising to supplement a chronically negative operating margin, or it uses fundraising to pay for the difference between good programs and great ones. It's an individual choice, but it should be a conscious, deliberate choice."
If it becomes clear that a more significant operational change is needed, one of the first steps is to develop a thoughtful communication plan. Some questions to consider include, how concerning is the gap? Is it an immediate crisis, or is it an indication that the organization needs to revisit its business plan, but has time to slowly turn the ship, advocate for rate changes, or develop a fundraising plan? Communicate with staff and board in a genuine, authentic manner, but stick to facts. Don't share worst-case scenarios or possible response plans if you are not there yet. We could develop an entire module just on communication. The two most important things to keep in mind is first, be thoughtful and authentic with communication, and second, employees need a leader with a vision and a plan for how to move forward.
This is where a strategic plan with a clearly articulated mission and vision can steer the sense of urgency. Talk with employees about the organizational mission and vision. How are we going to get from where we are today to where we want to be? Engage key leaders in the vision. This will generate the commitment and unity necessary to address financial challenges.
Action steps can be divided into short-term and long-term. Short-term action steps include making sure all low-hanging fruit issues have been addressed. Examples include implementing a zero-tolerance policy for late notes to ensure all billable moments are captured, stricter enforcement of the non-billable time budget, reducing mileage where possible, a wage freeze or an overtime freeze. A note of caution, do the math on overtime. Sometimes it's better to bill a service and pay overtime than not provide the service. Track cash flow carefully. Does the organization need to meet with a bank regarding a line of credit? Again, create a communication plan to address concerns and rumors.
Develop a business plan that moves the organization toward a more sustainable business model. Start by identifying potential causes of the gap. Is there a specific service or program that isn't sustaining itself? Are indirect expenses too high? Do employees have the tools and skills to maximize their own capacity? There may be multiple areas of concern to address in the business plan. Once the concerns are identified, an action plan can be developed for each performance concern. Leverage resources from outside your organization. For example, AADD exists to support its members. It can help you identify resources. Perhaps there's a leader in a different organization that can provide advice. AADD can make that connection. Or experts in certain areas like finance or strategic planning who AADD could refer you to. Perhaps there's a particular service everyone is struggling with. AADD can facilitate a group dialogue focused on problem solving. While it's difficult to share situations that may feel like leadership failures, putting pride aside and seeking all possible solutions is just good leadership.
As you examine your business model, increasing revenue is often one of the first discussions. Consider two approaches to increasing revenue. Option A, is it possible to expand what you are currently doing well? For example, if you are very effective at supported employment services, can you provide the service to more people and therefore increase billable units with minimal change to general and indirect costs? Or option B, are there opportunities to diversify your revenue sources? Are there unmet needs in the community that you can meet effectively, again while generally maintaining the organization's current administrative structure? It's very important when considering these options to have solid information about the market and the environment in the local community and the state. What do people with disabilities and their families want? What is important to them, your primary customers? Do their priorities match the organization's priorities? How do customer priorities align with funders? In addition, what are the funding trends? Is there a payment source for the services people are asking for? How will you collect this information in an objective and accurate manner? Again, consider reaching out to AADD as well as other partners.
In addition to increasing revenue, decreasing expenses should be on the table. Topics to look at include principles of lean management. Lean involves addressing waste. Waste is any process, function, or activity that does not add value to the customer. Are there processes or tasks that bog down managers in your organization? Paperwork processes that require multiple levels of approval, time wasted in meetings, just generally overly complex processes? A key principle of lean is involving employees closest to the work in making improvements to the system. Examine processes at each level. How can the organization maximize efficiencies in order to free up resources to meet the mission? Innovation. Technology is a trend in services that will only expand. According to one recent industry report, in a field where 90% plus of operating expenses are people, creating a tech-enabled workforce is a competitive advantage. How can technology both create internal efficiencies as well as help meet the needs of people in your organization? Redistribute tasks. Consider outsourcing administrative tasks such as IT, human resources, or billing, or perhaps you and other local organizations can share these services and reduce your costs. Shift responsibilities from mid-managers to experienced direct support professionals. Are there DSPs who are ready and interested in more responsibilities, with an increase in pay even? This would allow your organization to reduce the size of the mid-management team and actually benefit your direct support workforce by creating a career ladder. Evaluate your facility cost. Is it realistic to consider a smaller office space? Are there positions that can effectively work outside of the office, maybe from home? This is a workforce trend that has been successful in some industries.
This cartoon is painfully true. While people often recognize the need for change, actual change is difficult. Keep in mind these key components discussed in this toolkit. Be thoughtful and authentic with communication. Start with the organization's mission, current vision, and priorities. Use the information collected to inform decision making, and create a plan, monitor the plan, and revise the plan as needed.
This toolkit provides a simple outline of complex nonprofit management concepts with the goal of increasing the capacity of Alaska DD service providers. People with disabilities and their families depend on a healthy, effective service delivery system. We hope this series has contributed in some way. For more information on this toolkit and other resources, contact the Alaska Association on Developmental Disabilities at www.aaddalaska.org.